Hi guys, and I'm Retro Critic here. And today we're going to review and talk about Donkey Kong Country. And now we're going to review and talk about Donkey Kong Country on the Super Nintendo. Now, I only have the eShop version. On the Switch, and I don't have a Super Nintendo, but I guess this will do. So guys, we're also doing a Rareware month. So guys, we're going to do a Rareware month. And we're going to review and talk about Rareware games. But not all of them, and like a few SNES games of them, 8 N64 games, and I'm going to review and talk about a few N64 games of them, and this is considered to be the golden age of Rareware. Before it was bought out by Microsoft, before it went to Microsoft, and this was like the golden age of Rareware in my opinion, on the Super Nintendo and on the N64. I want to talk about nostalgia and good era video games, you know. So guys, by starting off Rareware month, these Rareware games are going to be awesome. By starting off, we're going to do Donkey Kong Country, the game that skyrocketed Rare games and put them in the market. And this game made Rare a household name for the market in video games. And this made video games fun and cool again. And this was considered like the golden age of Rareware. I consider the Super Nintendo and the N64 to be the golden age of Rareware games. Because that's when Rareware was at its peak, where Rareware was at its height, and before it was part of Microsoft, well, fuck Microsoft, but... And that's where Rareware was at its peak, Rareware was at its highest, it was great, it was just the greatest second development company. It was owned by Nintendo, and it was the highest grossing development third-party game. And it was at its peak before it was bought out by Microsoft. Fuck Microsoft. Seriously, fuck Microsoft. And Rare was the biggest third-party game by Nintendo. It was the highest grossest developer third-party game. This awesome third-party development company was as close and good as Nintendo, and it was owned by Nintendo at the time. Well, it had a long downfall story. I think I covered it before. Oh God, I miss Rare. Sorry. I miss Rare. It had this bad long downfall. This was the golden days of Rareware. So guys, without further ado, let's review and talk about Donkey Kong Country.
So the game is about Donkey Kong and his buddy sidekick Diddy Kong, and that they're in an adventure to stop the evil Kremlins and their king K. Rool, and their leader King K. Rool, from stealing the golden bananas and taking over the island. It's up to Donkey Kong and his trusty sidekick friend and buddy duo Diddy Kong and buddy duo to stop the Kremlins and stop the evil King K. Rool, and stop the evil leader, King K. Rool from taking over the island, and they have to also retrieve the golden bananas. So we first see the Rare logo, then we first see our Nintendo logo and the awesome Rare logo with it. God, I miss those days when you see the old Rare logo with Nintendo. And God, I even miss the old Rare logo. Those are the good old days. The game also opens up where you see Cranky Kong playing old music player, and then you see jungle barrels being thrown down, and Donkey Kong appears and he kicks out the old but wise Cranky Kong from playing his music player. And Donkey Kong appears to show off his modern music and his modern music player, and he plays some jam music and rap music, and I'm like, look out folks, here comes Donkey Kong. The new hip and cool generation of Donkey Kong is here. And then Cranky Kong throws a barrel of TNT, like a TNT barrel at Donkey Kong, and it explodes and Donkey Kong freaks out. And honestly, I actually kind of like Donkey Kong's reaction there, really. I don't know, his reaction there was kind of funny there. And then we see our title sequence, and then we see the opening title of the game, Donkey Kong Country. God, that just looks such a good title sequence opening. You know, it's been said that Cranky Kong is the original Donkey Kong from the original Donkey Kong NES game. And you know, the one where he fights Mario, and Mario has to jump over those barrels, and Donkey Kong throws his barrels, and yeah, that old Donkey Kong game. And it's believed that Cranky Kong is the grandfather of Donkey Kong in the Donkey Kong Country game, and that Donkey Kong's father is Donkey Kong Jr. from, well, you know, Donkey Kong Jr. from the NES one. And yes, Donkey Kong Jr. NES game is real, and Mario is the bad guy in that one, and he kidnaps your father for revenge, and Donkey Kong Jr. has to save his dad and stop Mario. And I get to question, like, geez, is this the same Mario? Or, like, is Mario different here? And, like, is this the father of Mario, and maybe this is Mario's father. I don't know. But it's believed that Donkey Kong Jr. is the father of Donkey Kong, and that Cranky Kong is also the grandfather of Donkey Kong, and that Donkey Kong in Donkey Kong Country is a new generation of the Kongs. Mind blown. Holy shit, mind blown, right? Well, I guess that was like my own game theory I just did right there, right, guys? Or I guess you can also call a gay theory. Okay, bad pun, move on. Okay, I promise I won't do that again. I also started to wonder if King Kong is related to Donkey Kong, but that's just speculation. It would be funny if King Kong from the movie is somehow related to Donkey Kong, but it's been said that Nintendo was inspired by King Kong to make Donkey Kong, and okay, that makes sense. And it's cool trivia there, and also Nintendo didn't confirm or deny that King Kong is related to Donkey Kong somehow, and that's interesting to know, and that is fascinating. I'll give them that. I'll tell you that. Also, I always wonder where, how, when we see the names of Diddy Kong and Funky Kong, Kiddy Kong, and Dixie Kong, and you always get to wonder if Diddy Kong is also related to Donkey Kong, and I'm like, maybe they're all distant cousins, I don't know. Funky Kong, Kiddy Kong, Dixie Kong, I'm like, are these people somehow related? I'm not sure, but they all do have the same last name, for God's sake. And I do wonder if they are in some capacity related, I don't know, but that's it. But hey, it's very possible. And I guess it's speculation, but you never know. Donkey Kong Country is a 2D style game, but some 3D in it. And it's a 2D style platform, but it's a 3D game too. The game Donkey Kong Country is a platformer that is 2D, but 3D. And it's a 2D style platformer, but it's a 3D game also. And that game is fun, and it's really cool to play. Donkey Kong Country is a fun and cool game to play, and it's a fun adventure game, and that is always enjoyable to play. For an exciting experience, and the experience is amazing. Donkey Kong Country is a fun adventure game that is always enjoyable to play for an exciting experience, and the experience is amazing. So, and it's always fun, it's really fun, and it's great, and it's good, and it's unique, and it stands out, and it's always like challenging in a fun but good way, and it's fun but in an interesting way. So in the game, you go around worlds and explore different worlds to go to. In the game, you collect crystal coconuts, and the crystal coconuts are like a booster to you, and like it gives you a faster power booster, which is cool, and you collect them like coins. And in the game, there's like sea worlds, there's cave worlds, jungle worlds, rainy worlds, temple worlds, you name it. Different worlds and levels to explore to. And the jungle levels are actually fun and good, and the rainy jungle levels are actually okay and just good. And my favorite level actually has to be the water world and the cave levels. I just kind of like those levels a lot, honestly. And yes, it's always cool to ride on that swordfish in the sea level. I don't know, I always had fun riding on the swordfish in the sea level. That was always cool. And I just love throwing those barrels. God, I don't know, it's always like, in the cave level, it's always cool to throw those barrels at the kremlings, at the critters, and you just kind of go around and run the cave with the barrel. I just think that's always cool and fun. Going around, jumping, and but that aside, I just have complete nostalgia with this game. But other worlds I actually like is the temple levels, the cart levels, and the even darker cave levels, and the, I guess, light up dynamite cave levels. Now, the temple levels, in my opinion, are alright. Now, the cart levels are actually my other favorite levels in the game. The cart level is actually really fun to play. Now, it is challenging sometimes, and cart levels are really frustrating in the game. But overall, like, but that aside, but either way, in the end of the day, the cart levels are actually still fun in the end. And the even darker cave levels are alright, but it's the cave level with the lights, with the flickering lights on, that has dynamite. It's like the dynamite cave level with the lights on. Yeah, that level. That level's really hard. Like, that's actually the hardest level in the game, in my opinion. Like, I barely passed that. It was really hard to pass. But it actually was a fun level. It was challenging. Well, challenging in a good, fun way. And overall, I thought that was actually a fun level, actually. Oh, and the music. Oh, the music is just phenomenal in the game. Like, the soundtrack has the best soundtrack in a video game I ever heard. Like, just take a listen to this. This is just phenomenal. This is amazing. Yeah, that was awesome. I mean, like, that was just amazing. Like, take a listen to, like, here, like take a listen to this one. Oh, that was just amazing. That was just excellent. Like, the music in this game is just pure awesome. I mean, seriously, the music in this game is just perfect in this game. I mean, the music is just really cool, very fun to listen to, and the music's very catchy to listen to. It just has the most, like, really creative music I ever heard in a video game. It's like fun, it's like really like fascinating music to hear. The video game score is like fantastic. I think the game's soundtrack score is just really engaging here. So in the game, you go around, fight enemies, and go around and jump on enemies. The enemies of the game can be rats, and like big rats, and birds, and vultures. But the main enemies you have to fight and jump on are Kremlings. And the Kremlings are like K. Rool's henchmen and army. And they're like these they're like these crocodile people. The Kremlings and K. Rool are like these crocodile beings. And these are K. Rool's henchmen and army. And K. Rool is the leader. So you go out around, so you go out around and confront these enemies, and I will admit, it is fun in the game, and these are my favorite enemies to confront and fight in the game. And these are like my favorite video game villains, and I think these are the best video game villains out there. So the bosses in the game are really cool, and you have to beat them in order to get the golden banana and get to the next world, because after you beat them, you get one of the golden bananas, and they unlock the next world for you. The bosses in the game are challenging, but challenging in a good way, and it's interesting in a way. And the bosses are great and fun to fight, and these boss battles are the best, and the boss battles are fun in the game. And overall, that's my take on the boss battles, and the boss battles are unique and good in the game overall. The first boss is a beaver boss. The first boss battle is a big beaver boss. The first boss you fight is a beaver boss that you fight. You just have to jump around and hit him, and all you have to do is just jump on top of him, dodge his attacks, dodge his jumping attacks, and just jump on top of him, hit him, his head, dodge his jumping attacks, hit him, and go around, and then you defeat and destroy him. The second boss battle is a pink vulture boss, the head of him. And the next boss battle is this pink vulture boss battle. He's like, and all he does is just shows like, and he's like just this like big head, and he shows his like big head, and you just sees only his big head. And all he does is only shows like big head and neck. He just pops out his little head, and neck, and he's really kind of easy. You just have to jump on top of him. You have to go around, dodge his attacks, jump over his attacks, and just hit. And all you have to do is just hit him, and then you defeat and destroy him. Third boss is a big spiky bee boss. The third boss, and now the next boss, is this bee boss. Now this boss is a bee boss, and he's like this bee with spikes kind of boss. You have to like dodge his attacks. You have to go around him and throw barrels at him. You have to like dodge his attacks. You have to jump around him. And what you have to do in this one is you have to throw barrels at him to make sure it doesn't hit you and poke you. You have to make sure it doesn't hit you and poke you. You gotta throw barrels, towards at him. You gotta make sure you have the barrel hit him. And then you defeat and destroy him. And the fourth boss is this big beaver boss. And this one's another beaver boss. And all I have to do is just jump around to make sure it doesn't hit you. And all I have to do is jump around. It's just jump around, go around, and make sure it doesn't hit you. You punch him, you hit him, you hit on his head, and then finally you hit on his head, and then finally you jump on top of his head, and then you defeat and destroy him. And you fight like another boss that's like a can that shoots out Kremlings. It's like this like barrel can that has like a skeletal face that shoots out Kremlings and snakes and enemies. It's really cool. The barrel boss with the skeleton is a really cool boss. It's my favorite. It's the fifth boss. Now the next boss is this barrel boss with a black barrel with a skeleton thingy on it. He throws Kremling and snakes at you. He also then shoots out enemies at you. You gotta make sure he dodges your attack. He jumps and you gotta hit him. He's a black barrel skeleton. Hits you, he jumps on you, and you gotta make sure that you hit him and jump on him too. That's kind of how you stop him. He's like this floating black barrel with a skeleton face on it, with a skeleton like symbol on it, and you have to stop him. It's kind of really cool. And then you defeat and destroy him, and you get to fight another vulture head, but it's like purple, and it's really... So the next box, in the sixth box, is another vulture boss, and he's purple, and he's another vulture boss. The head, showing his head, and to fight him, and he shoots coconuts, so you gotta make sure he shows his head, he shows his neck and head sticking out, and That's all he show. I mean, that's all he shows, and you have to like jump on him. He shoots coconuts at you. He shoots at you. He shoots coconuts at you. He shoots. You gotta make sure you dodges. You gotta make sure you dodge his attacks, and you gotta jump on that, and then jump on his head. Then you gotta jump on him. Then you gotta hit him. You gotta bounce him and hit him, and hop on his head. And you gotta hop on his head and hit him. That's how you bruise him, and that's how you hop on his head and hit his head, and that's how you hop on his head and hit his head, and then hit him, and then he gets defeated and destroyed. And then after he's defeated and destroyed, you then go to the final boss. So now you get to the final boss of the game. And the final boss is King K. Rool himself. And King K. Rool as a boss fight is awesome. And as a boss, he is tough. And so what you have to do is to jump on him and make sure you dodge his attacks. And when he throws his crown, it's hard to jump over his crown. And you have to make sure you don't get hit by his crown. And after you dodge his punches and jump over his punching arm attacks, and you jump on top of his head and jump on top of his head and body to beat him, and his body to beat him. And as a boss, he is quite challenging and a rough boss at that. And finally, you manage to defeat and literally beat up King K. Rool, and you finally get to defeat and destroy and beat up King K. Rool. I like how the game gives you like a false end. Like after you beat King K. Rool, it just rolls the credits. But then after that, King K. Rool pops up and then you have to fight him again, fight King K. Rool again. Okay, so then another round of this final boss, so you then eventually beat him up and defeat and destroy King K. Rool for real this time. It's funny how I gave you a false ending, but then you have to fight him again. That was funny. So the game gives you like this false ending. The game like starts rolling its credits after you beat King K. Rool. Like literally after you beat King K. Rool, the game starts rolling its credits. But then it kind of tricks you, and then King K. Rool pops up again. Then you have to fight him again. They have another round of another boss of King K. Rool fighting him. So they have another round of another boss of King K. Rool fighting him, and they have to fight him. So then you do eventually defeat and destroy King K. Rool this time. And I just like how the game gives you like this false ending. I just like how it just rolls the credits after you beat him. That was kind of funny. But overall, this was a good boss battle, and I really liked this one. It was funny and awesome, and I really liked it. And then we get to the real ending, and then the game really ends. The final boss was a really fun boss fight. So overall, in the final boss battle, King K. Rool is a really cool boss fight. Like you don't see all the characters' names until the end credits. Like you don't see the name of the characters and the enemies, the bosses, and all the Kongs until the end credits. I mean, I know it's like a good way to find out the names, but why the bosses? Like, so you don't find all the characters' names until the end credits. Okay, enemies I can understand if you want to know the name, the name of the enemy of the game, or the name of the Kong, or you want to know the name of the Kongs in the end credits. You only see this in the end credits, but like, why the bosses? I mean, you get people like Naughty, Very Naughty, Master Necky Senior, Dumb Drum, Queen Bee, and King K. Rool. Like, seriously, why the bosses? Like Very Naughty, Master Necky, Really Naughty, Queen Bee, Dumb Drum, Master Necky Senior, and even King K. Rool Senior. Like, you don't see their names till like the end credits. Like, but like, why the bosses? Like, they're bosses, so usually in a boss battle you show their names. So that's what I don't get. And I really like these characters. Like, you don't see the names of these characters in the end credits. Like, usually when you fight a boss battle, they show their name like on top on the sidebar, and you see their name on the sidebar just to know what you're fighting. That's what I don't get. You see their name on the sidebar. They at least show their name on the sidebar. That's usually what happens when you fight a boss battle. But you actually have to see their name until the end credits. So that's what I found weird. Like, so I mean, these are boss battles. You show their name in the sidebar. They show the name in the sidebar, and that's actually what's supposed to happen in bosses. That's actually usually what happens in a boss battle, you know? So it's just weird they have to find their name in the end credits. But I don't know, that's just me. But seriously, what is up with that? And maybe that's the game's intention, but I don't know. And I think that's what the game is going for. And well, other games do that, and I get it, and I understand it, and that's fine, whatever. So you later eventually get all of the golden bananas and save the whole island, and you later found the golden bananas, and the whole island is saved. The game ends with Donkey Kong and his friends celebrating and hanging out, and it ends where all the characters appears in the end credits, and their name shows up, and it appears where like all the enemies of the game show up, and they all show up in the end credits, and their name appears. All the bosses of the game show up in the end credits, and their names appear too. And all the Kongs show up, and they walk through the end credits, and their names appear. So then the credits start really rolling. So then the game really ends.
So that was Donkey Kong Country. What do I think about it? I think this game is awesome, and it's a masterpiece of a classic. I give this game an 8 out of 10. So that was Donkey Kong Country. And what do I think about it? I think this game is a masterpiece of a classic. I think this game is awesome. I think this game is a masterpiece of a classic. And I think this game is awesome. And it is a masterpiece. In this game, I think this game is awesome. I think this game is awesome. And this game is a masterpiece of a classic. And it is awesome. It is a masterpiece of a classic. And this game is awesome. And this game is a masterpiece of a classic. This game is a masterpiece of a classic. And this game is a masterpiece. And this game is a masterpiece of a classic. And it is a masterpiece of a classic. And I give this game an 8 out of 10. And that's about it. Donkey Kong Country is a great game. And I recommend anyone to play this game if anyone is into retro classics. This game is for you. And you will have fun with this game. And this game is enjoyable and really great to play, and it's really cool to play, and it's overall such a fun game. This was the golden age of Rare. So that was my thoughts on Donkey Kong Country. This was the golden age of Rare. Rare was at its peak. This is like, it's nostalgia. I just want to talk about it, just love it, and just my thoughts on it, and just like talk about that before the downfall, I guess. And that was what I think about Donkey Kong Country. This was the golden age of Rare. This was where Rareware was just at its peak, and it was awesome. So this was a fun time for video games. It was Rare. And I think I talked about before, the downfall was a long story. I love these games. I just talk about my nostalgia, but also I actually played some of these games, and these games were really fun to play. This was an interesting era for video games. Fun, and this was a really cool time for video games at this time. And I just gotta say that I really enjoyed playing these games. I did play the N64 of these games. I love them so much. I love these games. I did play these games. I didn't own them, but I did play the N64 ones in the GameCube. They were just so great, and I love them so much. So guys, I'm the Retro Critic, and I'm out. And I'll see you guys later, and I'll see you guys next time, I'll see you guys around, and I'll see you guys in the next video, and peace out, and bye.